Welcome to The Explainer. Look, today we're unlocking something that is, quite frankly, a total game changer. We're diving deep into Thomas Alethia's fantastic book, 12 Steps to a Good Life, and we're zoning in on a vivid visualization technique designed to crush those incredibly stubborn problems we all face. It's called the Invisible Counselors. You know when you're just totally stuck, just circling the drain with the same tired thoughts? Well, this explainer is going to give you a very real, very powerful tool to break right through that mental wall. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this with a really profound thought from MMA fighter Melissa Scare Croden. She says, no problem can be solved by the same consciousness that created it. Man, think about how incredibly frustrating it is to hit a dead end over and over again, right? What she's hitting the nail on the head with here, and what Alethia's work emphasizes, is that to fix our biggest, most complex issues, we literally have to step outside of our own heads. You just can't use the exact same logic that got you stuck to get yourself unstuck. It just doesn't work. And this brilliantly illustrates the core dilemma we're facing. We're constantly battling between the inside of the box, which is basically our current, heavily biased worldview, and the outside of the box, which holds all that new knowledge and wisdom we're desperately looking for. We've all felt that awful, heavy feeling of being stuck in life. But here's the thing. Feeling stuck isn't a lack of effort. It's just a symptom of being trapped inside your current belief system. The solutions are absolutely out there. They just aren't inside the box with you right now. Section 1. Trapped in your own mind. So what exactly is this box made of? Well, Alethea defines this box as a rigid set of unconscious beliefs, attitudes, and past experiences. Basically, as humans, all our deep psychological needs get filtered through this thing, and it completely distorts our perception of reality. It strictly limits the solutions we can even dream up. And this is the absolutely crucial part. Because this filter operates entirely in the background, we end up mistaking our own narrow little box for objective reality. It's almost impossible to see the truth without a crowbar to pry open our own perspective. Section 2. Meet your invisible counselors. This is your crowbar. Now, you might be thinking this is some trendy New Age life hack, but actually, no. This fascinating visualization technique was first put on the map way back in 1938 by the self-help pioneer himself, Napoleon Hill. It's wild to think about, but this historical method is still one of the most effective, enduring psychological frameworks we have for tapping into hidden creativity. Now, what's really interesting about this list is the sheer caliber of Hill's own mental boardroom. I mean, look at these names: Jesus, Abraham Lincoln, Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, William James. He literally built the ultimate mastermind group right in his own head. Whenever he faced a seemingly impossible challenge, he'd sit quietly, close his eyes, and just ask these historical giants for their take on his problems. He consulted these counselors to completely bypass his own limitations and essentially borrow their legendary wisdom. Section 3. Building your mental boardroom. Let's talk about how you can actually do this. Alethea breaks it down into 3 super logical steps. Step 1. Pick your role models. Step 2. Visualize the meeting place. And step 3. State your problem and listen. The real beauty of this whole shebang is the freedom. Your counselors can be absolutely anyone. Stuck on a business problem? Invite Warren Buffett over. Need some unshakable courage? Bring in a superhero or a brave historical figure. They can be living mentors, old teachers, or even entirely fictional characters whose traits you admire. So, who is at your table? Seriously, I want you to pause for a beat right now. Actively imagine the brilliant minds you'd invite to your own personal boardroom. Who do you desperately want advising you on your career, or your relationships, or your health? Picture them walking through the door right now. Okay, once you have them gathered, you've got to engage your senses. You need to vividly see that conference room. Or, hey, maybe your safe space is a cozy cabin in the woods or a sunny beach. Feel the texture of the leather chair you're sitting in. Hear the distinct tones of their voices as they say hello. Smell the coffee brewing in the corner. The brain responds so strongly to vivid sensory details. When you slow down and make it intensely real, your brain stops treating it like a silly daydream. It becomes a real experience. Section 4. Consulting the geniuses. This is where the heavy lifting happens. In your mind's eye, you bring up a specific problem and let your counselors use their unique skills to map out a plan. Remember, you invited each of these people for a very specific reason. Tell them exactly what you need. Ask them pointed, direct questions. And then, and Alethea makes it clear this is the most critical part, you have to sit back and just listen. Listening forces that loud, anxious, conscious part of your brain to finally shut up for a minute, which lets the deeper wisdom of your subconscious speak through the voices of your counselors. Let's see how this builds, because Aletheia notes a really fascinating phenomenon here. He says your invisible counselors, in time, will appear to take on their own mannerisms and behaviors. You may receive surprising insight, motivation, and inspiration. It sounds kind of mystical, doesn't it? But actually, it's pure psychology. Because you're engaging your subconscious so vividly and dressing it up in these distinct personalities, these characters start acting autonomously in your head. They'll give you answers that will genuinely surprise your conscious self. Section 5, Why this actually works. Let's break down the science for a second to prove this isn't magic. So the crucial point is understanding bias and projection. This is our brain's natural tendency to filter reality through our own insecurities, our fragile egos, our blind spots. It's exactly what traps us in those subjective loops we talked about earlier. By consulting others in our mind, we're basically using a psychological backdoor to safely bypass our own stubborn biases. Your ego naturally lowers its defenses. It stops arguing when someone like Abraham Lincoln is giving you advice, even though, structurally, it's really your own unconscious mind doing the talking. It's essentially a showdown. Willpower versus unconscious wisdom. Willpower is you trying to aggressively force a solution from inside the box. But willpower alone rarely solves complex problems because it requires knowing which direction to push. Unconscious wisdom, on the other hand, is about tapping into the silent, brilliant parts of yourself through symbols. Humans have evolved over millennia to communicate best through personalities, stories, and archetypes. This visualization technique, it's just speaking the native language of your deep unconscious. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, provocative question to ponder today. What if the answers to your most impossible problems are already in the room, and you just need to invite the right people to help you hear them? I highly encourage you to close your eyes later today, build your table, and call your very first mental boardroom meeting. You might just be amazed at who shows up to help you out. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy learning.